Hi, I'm Steve Sherman, and I'm a photographer, and this is my photo essay of the momentum generation. And I'm very lucky to have been a part of this and be a part of the momentum generation crew, and they're my friends. And this first shot, it's ironic, this is the first shots I ever took of Rob Machado. I was shooting skateboarding, and Taylor brought me into his world, but this is even before I even shot the Momentum guys. Surfer said, hey Sherman, do you want to do a shot of Rob Machado for a piece we're doing on him? Let's do it. So I called Rob and his dad, and I met at their house in Cardiff, and I shot this in his backyard of his parents' house. And this was the real beginning of my foray into the surf world from skateboarding. This is a shot of Todd Chesser I did for a Rusty shoot on the North Shore. I flew over with Tyler Calloway, and we were just shooting catalog work and ads for Rusty. It was a pretty big campaign for me at the time. I've been shooting a lot of skateboarding at the time, but I was hardcore surfer then, so this was the beginning of kind of working in the surf industry. And Todd is an incredible person, super funny. I knew I was okay if Todd Chesser would let me tell him what to do, because Todd had a reputation for being a pretty cutthroat sense of humor. But yeah, this is from one of those sessions with Rusty. Ross Williams. This is at Burleigh Heads, and this is Ross. He put a banana up to the ceiling and was peeling and cutting a banana up with the fan. You don't see a lot of photos of Ross doing stuff like this, and I think I'm on it a few times. Ross is very private, but he's got a dry sense of humor too. But yeah, I love this of Ross. This is good. Pat O'Connell at Burleigh Heads too. Back around this period in the early 90s, we were staying at Burleigh Heads because the contest site was part of Snapper Rock and Burleigh. I put a lot of time in the Burleigh Towers and surfing Burleigh, and some of the best surfs of my life have been from this point. At Burleigh Heads with all the boys, looking at Pat O'Connell, and we're sneaking on the inside, and yeah, Pat's one of my surf buddies. I've probably caught some of the best waves of my life with Pat O'Connell around Australia and around California at this point too. Rob Machado, this is shot in 1995. This was on my first trip on the ASP World Tour, shooting photos. Nick Carroll sent me down there, and then me and my wife went, and Rob won. So this is at Maurice Cole's house, which is kind of ground zero. So that was the big party that night. So we went there, and Rob was dipping into the red wine. At that point, Rob's not a big drinker, but that night he had a couple of some really good red wine that Maurice gave us, and this photo is great. I love the look on his face. He's got the fro, and yeah, this is coming down to the end. I think Rob and Kelly and Sonny Garcia were really close in the world title at this point. This is Matt, Branson, and Kelly in Queensland. Matt's a very colorful character. I shot a lot of early photos of Matt in the early 90s for Rusty, and this is at a bar, and this is right before the digital age, so I shot this on film, and Matt giving Kelly a big kiss, which was just insane. So this is Kelly Slater Lockenau. I went there to cover for a surfing magazine, ASP Reportage. I was on my honeymoon, and Kelly's a really good friend too, so I like the French girl and all that kind of stuff. It's very, very France. This is Kelly Slater in 1994. This is one of the first photographs I've taken of Kelly, and that's the artwork he did on his board himself from that era. And it's cool that I was able to, that Kelly, this is the beginning of him getting something back. And Kelly's one of my favorite subjects because he'll add an extra 10 or 15% creatively on a photograph. He'll go, hey Sherman, let's do this, or something like that. And sometimes I'll say some things and he'll go, I don't know, Sherman, but I'll go with it. I shot this photo of him one time, and I had him up on the wall, and it was right before he won his, I think it was in France, and he was possibly winning. I go, I want a Jesus Christ pose. And he's all, I'm not sure about this, Sherman, but I'm gonna go with it. And we ended up using it in a 2-page spread. But Kelly's a good sport, and he's also very creative, and he also has a sense of how he wants to be portrayed. So I love that with any subject. Taylor Knox, Sunset. Taylor, the most competitive person I know, and one of my good close friends, and one of my favorite surfers in the whole world, power surfer, and I love it that I'm good friends with Taylor, and I love surfing with him. He's an inspiration to my surfing. Rob, Kalani. I'm not even sure when I shot this, but I think I have a lot more photographs of anyone of Kalani through from young Kalani all the way through, and the kid is still one of the fastest surfers in the world. I was surfing Seaside the other day, and I came in, and I see this kid flying across Palisades. I'm all, that's Kalani. You can see it from a mile away, and as I said, he's still one of the fastest surfers in the world.